times must I tell you? You must never put your life on the line for me.
Mother has always had a fascination for Lord Mortimer, but has never wanted to tell me why.
We are doing our utmost to find your mother as quickly as possible. Without your mother, hundreds of men of the cloth would have gone to the guillotine.
All I can tell you is I'm looking for my sister.
Do you believe your mother capable of torturing a child?
An agreement for cannons. Lord Mortimer assured me that you are to take over the project on behalf of your mother.
Johann Christoph von Wollner, Minister of Religious Affairs, and Jacques Peroux, French Revolutionary Tribunal Judge. You will find that Lord Mortimer is not what one would call conventional, Monsieur de Richet.
I do apologize for being late. I was obliged to clear up some urgent business.
Pues hola y muy buenas a todos, bienvenidos aquí a un nuevo vídeo. Estamos en esta ocasión con The Council, el segundo capítulo, que empezaba muy fuerte. Supongo que no recuerdo muy bien lo que pasó en el capítulo anterior. Recuerdo que nos envenenaron, así que supongo que se nos explicará. Tenemos aquí un punto de protocolo. Manuscritos para equipados. The Council. Capítulo 2. Hide and
Do
Seek.
you mind if I call you Louis?
Please do.
Thank you. I wish to apologize wholeheartedly, Louis. I made you cross the seas, and I wasn't even here to welcome you. When I asked you to join us here, it was, of course, in the hope that you would help us find your mother. Unfortunately, I am now confronted with another problem, which I would rather
Lord
have done
Mortimer.
without.
Oh, ese es Lord Mortimer,
You see,
gente.
last night, Miss Adams also went missing.
Miss Adams. Entrada sin coste. Me gustaría saber más. No ha desaparecido. Creo. Vamos a centrar un poquito la pelota. Creo que en el capítulo anterior Elizabeth nos drogó, ¿vale? Entonces no sé qué ha pasado en este intervalo, pero se supone que tenemos que hablar con Lord Mortimer y decirle que no ha desaparecido. Me gustaría saber más. Sí. Vamos a decirle esto.
And why is that? Can you tell me more?
I have had my people searching for her all over the island. Alas, to no avail.
Sí,
It so
porque
happens that both her mental and her physical health are extremely fragile. I'm worried that the same thing happened to her as to your mother. Also, I would appreciate it very much if you could tell me what you were doing on the floor in her room in the early hours
It's quite
of the
normal.
morning.
I can explain everything.
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear it. You see, Sir Gregory is about to arrive, and he's taken Elizabeth's disappearance very, very seriously.
Nos drogó y se
Please
fue.
reassure him so that we can
Elizabeth
talk about
nos
your
drogó y se fue, gente. Nosotros no sabemos nada.
William, I would like to see you a moment before we begin. In private.
Let's step outside a moment. Louis, this will only take a few moments.
Vale. Ha desaparecido de la isla. Y nos echan la culpa. Voy a registrar.
Alright, let's take this chance to look around.
Claro, no. Hay que aprovechar. Vamos. Adjuntos se encuentran los testimonios de Bonaparte y Willsborough. Testimonio de Napoleón Bonaparte. A la pregunta ¿qué estaba haciendo ayer por la noche? Monseñor Bonaparte respondió: tras hablar con Lord Mortimer, pasé la noche jugando a las cartas con Sir Gregory, el señor Washington y su eminencia Piaggi. Ganó Sir Gregory. A la pregunta ¿notó algo extraño durante la velada? Monseñor Bonaparte respondió: de madrugada creí que haber visto a alguien en el balcón, pero no logré verle la cara. Testimonio de la duquesa Hillsborough. A la pregunta ¿qué estaba haciendo ayer por la noche? La duquesa respondió: pasé la noche en compañía de Monseñor de Richet, de Monsieur de Richet. Admiramos obras expuestas en la galería de la mansión. Cuando nos disponíamos a retirarnos, nos encontramos con la señorita Adams. ¿Os acordáis que nos cruzamos con Elizabeth y nos pidió ayuda y nos fuimos con ella y nos drogó y dejamos a Elizabeth, o sea, a Emily sola? Cuando nos disponíamos a retirarnos, nos encontramos con la señorita Adams. Yo estaba cansada, así que me fui a la cama y dejé a Monsieur de Richet con la señorita Adams. A la pregunta ¿notó algo extraño durante la velada? No sé, no que yo recuerde. Vale. Demuestra tu inocencia en el juicio. Ojo, nos están culpando de la desaparición de Elizabeth.
Please, sit back down, Louis.
This sort of behavior is not working in your favor, young man.
Gregory, Louis told me we needn't be concerned.
Of course. Monsieur de Richet, the situation seems to escape your grasp, so I won't beat about the bush. Did you kill Elizabeth Adams?
Pues no.
What? Elizabeth is dead?
No. Now let us remain calm. We do not yet know, Gregory, precisely what has happened to our poor Elizabeth.
I beg your pardon? So what are you accusing me of then?
We must remain calm, Gregory. Yeah. We have found no evidence that would suggest that Elizabeth has been murdered. For the time being, she has only disappeared. Let's stick to the facts, if you please.
Well, where is she then?
Technically, I'm simply incapable of telling you where she might be. And we never talked about her destination. What I can say is that the last time I saw Elizabeth, she was in her room. And she just decided to leave the island.
Gregory, you must admit that just because Louis doesn't know where Elizabeth is, does not prove that something's happened to her.
Damnation, William. This is a fiasco. Sir, you don't seem to realize just how serious this is.
Let's try and remain calm, Gregory. In any case, it would be far better if Elizabeth really has
Tenemos que tener cuidado.
as Louis says. why do you think she wanted to leave?
She was persuaded she was going to die. When she saw that you had invited my mother, she thought that you wanted to put an end to her. She felt betrayed.
But why didn't she speak to me about it?
Elizabeth had nothing to fear from us. You know very well who she was afraid of, but you don't dare say.
Bueno, pues vamos a probar. Yo se lo aconsejé.
She couldn't bear it anymore. She was becoming hysterical and drinking heavily. She was panic-stricken at the thought of staying here, and I didn't know she wasn't allowed to leave.
It's not that she was a prisoner here, Louis, but Elizabeth is mentally very fragile, and I fear she might do something terrible to herself or others. She wasn't ready, and you have made a grave mistake by encouraging her.
William, don't justify yourself. You won't even answer the question. What is the real reason, Monsieur de Richet? Monsieur de Richet, we have given you every opportunity to reassure us as to the fate of Elizabeth. You have only succeeded in plunging yourself into deeper trouble. I will never rest until we are certain that Elizabeth is indeed alive.
I assure you, my lord.
We are obliged to believe you for the moment. Consequently, I shall make you a promise in return. If ever we find out that anything has happened to poor Elizabeth, I shall personally see to it that your head will land in a basket. You don't need us for any of this. So come along, Monsieur Peru.
Hemos fallado en la misión.
Right.
Ahora tenemos que tener más cuidado.
Spoke about your mother, Louis.
Se está escondiendo. Lo hace con frecuencia. No ha desaparecido.
She isn't missing, you know.
What? What do you mean?
My mother has left traces in every nook and cranny of your island, my lord. She's definitely here. Now, what worries me most is why she doesn't show herself.
That doesn't make me feel any better, Louis.
What was the official reason why my mother came to your island?
I knew about your mother's activities, and yours, in the Golden Order. I thought we had everything to gain by working together.
You mean the canon deal with Monsieur Bonaparte?
Among others, yes. How did you hear about that?
Monsieur Bonaparte came to speak to me about it yesterday, during lunch.
I see. So impetuous. He was supposed to let me speak to you about it first. Our friend Napoleon desperately needed financial backing to properly equip his army. I took it upon myself to back him because I have a firm conviction that he can go far. Yet he told me that you had spoken and that you hadn't been able to reach
Este capítulo empieza a saco.
That's putting it mildly. Monsieur Bonaparte is one of those guys who only understands people who think like he does.
Ah, I see what you mean. He is indeed rather inflexible when it comes to certain subjects. But I am still of the opinion that you can manage to get along.
We shall see. However, there's one thing that surprises me. Isn't Bonaparte a bit young to deserve so much attention?
Well, you come straight to the point. I like that. Indeed, if you knew just how much you remind me of him. Trust me, I'll wager that Monsieur Napoleon will soon prove himself.
Recordad que Napoleón nos pidió ayuda y fallamos. O sea que tenemos muchos enemigos aquí.
You see, I've invited several influential figures on my island to present them with a project at the conference. It will be presented later today. I thought that the Golden Order had a role to play. And I still think so. I was hoping Sarah would be able to join us.
I see.
Indeed, if by chance your mother decided not to return to us before the conference, would you do me the great honor of attending? If only to follow the deliberations while waiting for her to duly take her seat.
Why not? We shall see.
Ah, Thank you so much. In this way, you'll be able to keep your mother informed of what is said. There's something else I'd like to briefly go over. Earlier, you asked me the official reason for your mother's presence here. Is there an off-the-record reason why your mother came here?
Está buscando comprador acá, no.
If only my mother had trusted me, but she remained very mysterious. I'd have been delighted to answer your question.
Is this usual for her?
As head of the order, secrets are her bread and butter, as you can imagine. That said, it's the first time she hasn't let me in on the reason for her trip. And it intrigues me, to tell you the truth.
Well, I'm sure that Sarah will explain everything once she reappears. There's something I still don't get. In your opinion, why would your mother remain in hiding over several weeks?
¿Qué va a conseguir su madre ocultándose después de varias semanas? Tal vez desconfíe de alguien, tal vez haya perdido la cabeza.
Maybe she found something out.
What do you mean?
My mother has a gift for investigating. If she had picked up a lead, nothing would have stopped her.
The only thing I can tell you is that Sarah had indeed changed. At the beginning of her stay here, we enjoyed spending time together, solving the world's problems.
¿De qué hablaban cuando estaban juntos?
You seem to know my mother very well, my lord. What did you talk about together?
Oh, as soon as we had a little free time, we liked to share points of view about practically any subject. We would find ourselves embarked on interminable discussions that could go from Monsieur Blanchard's flight in a hot air balloon to the Treaty of Jassy, or the adoption of the metric system in France last year, or even Mr. Eli Whitney's invention in the United States.
Fascinante.
My mother must have undoubtedly taken great pleasure in these exchanges. She always was
No
one to
podemos
appreciate
meternos
broadening
con
her
él
knowledge.
en una
I'm surprised she didn't get me started on
conversación
the
profunda
Crusades.
porque nosotros
It
no
was her
tenemos
favorite
conocimiento,
subject.
¿sabéis?
Are you joking?
Somos
Sarah and I
detectives.
spent entire days together reliving them. It so happens that the Crusades are also my subject of predilection, especially the third. My ancestor distinguished himself brilliantly during the siege of Saint-Jean d'Acre.
No sé nada de las cruzadas, ¿veis?
Unfortunately, my lord, the Crusades are not my chosen field.
Well, it doesn't matter. You have plenty of time to learn. Your mother is a very well-read woman. You're quite lucky to have her as a model, Louis.
Yes, I know, but I'm still very worried.
I must admit, there are worse things to worry about now, Louis.
What do you mean?
Since she disappeared, your mother has been seen once. Her behavior on the evening of your arrival greatly surprised Gregory and myself. She resurfaced to attack Emma, Emily Hillsborough's twin sister. And she shot her with a pistol. Then, before Gregory could intervene, she ran off and disappeared again.
I beg your pardon? Hang on. That means my vision on the wharf, it was actually happening inside the manor. Mother shot Emily's sister? The very person she came looking for? Why would she do that? Excuse me, but between that and the childhood of Lady Adams, it's all a bit much for me to cope with.
Mm-hmm.
I need to piece it all together again to see things more clearly. You said that you spent a lot of time talking together at the beginning. What happened for that to change?
I'm afraid I haven't much to tell you. The more the days went by, the more she withdrew into herself. She never gave me an explanation, until the day came when she purely and simply disappeared.
Where did she go when she wanted to be alone?
She would shut herself away in a room we use as a box room, upstairs.
Would you allow me to go there?
Naturally, Louis, of course. I'll send you a servant to open it.
Thank you.
That's all I can tell you about the disappearance of your mother, Louis. I would like to have been more helpful.
I shall stay on her trail and follow up any leads.
Thank you. We will meet later on to welcome our last guest. In the meantime, I shall get someone to open the box room upstairs for you.
Parece majo,
Thank
Lord
you.
Mortimer. Parece majo.
The room is just opposite Mortimer's
Lo que os
study.
decía. Empieza muy fuerte. No me ha dado tiempo ni a presentar el vídeo, gente. Estamos aquí con el segundo capítulo de The Council. Estamos buscando a nuestra madre. Y lo que ha pasado en este, no sé, cuarto de hora, pues ha sido brutal. Así que vamos a continuar aventura. Estábamos aquí con Luis. Elizabeth ha desaparecido. El principal sospechoso somos nosotros. Nos han amenazado de muerte. Ve a la habitación de la torre. Vale, pues ya estamos aquí. A ver, ¿qué podemos investigar? ¿Qué hay aquí? Objeto añadido. Monedas de colección. Vale, coleccionables.
There are burnt papers in the chimney. There's a legible fragment left. Hey, I recognize my mother's handwriting. She says, we must find a safer way to communicate. Someone is onto us. Trust in my faith in the man with the sword. So Mother had an accomplice here. Who could it be?
Madre mía.
Who could she be suspicious of? I must find the next part. Faith, sword. I recognize her love of riddles there.
Uf. Consultar las notas, a ver. Dice que debemos dar un modo más seguro de comunicarnos. Alguien va a por nosotros. Confío con plena fe en el hombre que porta la espada. Jalea real. Vale. Agua del Carmen.
St. Paul on the road to Damascus by Caravaggio.
Un cuadro de Caravaggio, gente.
Caravaggio attained a magnificent command of black and the play of colors too.
Sí.
Paul facing an ordeal, the curtains of his illusions being raised, and receives the light from his Savior.
Yo estuve en Roma una vez y fuimos a una iglesia donde había todo cuadros de Caravaggio y fue alucinante porque el uso del negro en la pintura de Caravaggio es flipante. No podemos hacer nada porque tenemos todo bloqueado. Recuerdo esta historia, erudición, tal, así que salir. Vamos a buscar cosas por la habitación. Aquí en la... En la estantería no hay nada. Recordad que hay que mirar en todos los sitios. Vamos a seguir por la siguiente parte de la habitación. No se puede.
The door appears to be locked on the other side.
Tiene que haber una llave. Dejar la puerta. Parece que está cerrada desde dentro. Pero si no tienes... A ver, abrir.
I think I heard something fall to the ground.
Forzar
Like
la
Alex,
puerta.
like a key falling to the floor.
Cerrado sin coste. Forzar la puerta. Ajá. Bueno, pues vamos a intentar forzar. Sí.
So much for discretion.
Luis. LOL. ¿Qué has hecho? Gente. Yo no me esperaba que hiciera eso. Vale, pues ya hemos abierto la puerta. Ahora más vale que no nos encuentren aquí. Calidad real. Vale.
A chest with the occult symbol representing air.
Ajá. Forzar ambas cerraduras. Usar la llave izquierda. Usar la llave derecha. A ver, no. Apartarse. Hay que coger la llave del suelo, que se ha caído aquí una llave. Escúchame, ¿dónde estaba la llave? Hemos visto que se caía una llave, ¿verdad? ¿Vosotros la veis? Oye, no. Yo no veo nada. Otro cuadro.
St. Paul painted by Guido Reni. St. Paul is shown holding a sword. Strange. There's hardly any dust, as if the painting's been cleaned recently. There's a
El hombre que
small
porta la
inscription engraved on
espada.
the frame. Let's take a closer
Igual
look.
es ese.
This is how Paul spoke to his pilgrims from Rome. Just above that, someone's written down the figure 11 on the painting and underlined it twice. No, what does that mean?
Resumir la información del cuadro. Pensar el código secreto. El coste se reduce a 3.
So we have the figure 11 twice underlined and a story of a group of pilgrims who it looks like Paul is speaking to. Maybe it's a code. There must be a connection.
Ujú.
A text on Paul must be somewhere, and it must be associated with the figure 11. But what's the story with these pilgrims? I mean, a connection with the figure, maybe?
Ujú. Vale. De momento aquí no podemos seguir mirando porque nos hemos quedado sin elecciones. A ver qué es esto. Objeto añadido, sofistría. No sé qué es esto. Inventario. Pues no sé qué hemos cogido, gente. Esta misión es chunguilla, ¿eh? Aquí tenemos la caja con las dos
The New
llaves.
Testament.
Los evangelios y los hechos de los apóstoles. Epístolas. Bueno. Evangelio según San Marcos. Capítulo 7, versículo 1.
Then came together unto him the Pharisees, and certain of the scribes, which came from Jerusalem. And it came to pass in those days that Jesus came from Nazareth of Galilee, and was baptized by John in Jordan.
Epístola de los feligreses, epístola de los efesios, de los hebreos.
Even as it is meet for me to think this of you all, because I have you in my heart, inasmuch as both in my bonds. And in defense and confirmation of the gospel, ye all are partakers of my grace. Several portraits of apostles, all signed by Guido Reni. Looks like someone touched this commode recently. There are fingerprints on the sheets and in the dust.
Estoy investigando un poco como un pollo sin cabeza, ¿no? Enhorabuena, has reunido 4 fragmentos de alma. Tu nivel máximo de puntos de esfuerzo ha aumentado en 1. ¡Ojo! ¿Vale?
Amber crystals.
Bueno, ¿hay algo más en la habitación que pueda ser de utilidad? Observar el cuadro.
St. John, painted by Guido Reni.
Sí. ¿Y qué?
St. John, painted by Guido Reni.
Bueno, pero no me dices nada. Bueno, tenemos esta caja que
Just with the occult symbol representing air.
no podemos hacer nada, gente. No podemos hacer nada en la habitación esta. De momento no sé. Lo que pasa es que si nos descubren que hemos forzado la puerta para entrar y esas cosas, tendremos problemas. Busca pistas. A ver, no sé. ¿Qué puedo mirar más? Parece que el libro, ¿no? El libro es lo que más información puede tener. Epístolas 2, epístolas de los deseos.
Honor thy father and thy mother, as this is the first commandment.
Examinar el libro.
This book is incredibly precious. I believe this is the book my mother referred to when calling upon the Lord.
¿Qué es?
Volume of the Gutenberg Bible.
Vale. Leer. Epístola a los romanos.
I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? God forbid, but rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles, for to provoke them to jealousy. Wait, a note from mother is carefully folded
Eso
between
es.
the pages here. What does it say? Dear E, I'm glad you found this note. I was afraid the code of the two groups of pilgrims would mislead you. Pick up the package. You know where, and hide it where no one will find it. It's imperative, awaiting your reply, hidden behind the youngest apostle. What? The youngest apostle? What does mother mean by that?
El más joven de los apóstoles. Sigue las pistas que dejó tu madre en la Biblia. Evangelio hecho y Hechos de los Apóstoles.
And it came to pass in those days that Jesus came from Nazareth of Galilee
Vale, ahora
and
sí.
was baptized by John in Jordan. He that believeth on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already, because he hath not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. What doth it profit, my brethren, though a man say he hath faith, and have not works? Can faith save him?
De los apóstoles, el más joven. Pues, no sé. Podría ser.
And he, bearing his cross, went forth into a place called the place of a skull, which is called in Hebrew Golgotha. I and my Father are one. And a voice came out of the throne, saying, Praise our God, all ye his servants, and ye that fear him, both small and great.
Sigue las pistas que dejó tu. Dice, debemos dar un modo más seguro de comunicarnos. Epístolas. Me alegro de que encontrara esta nota. Tenía el código de 2 grupos de pergaminos. Coja el paquete, ya sabe dónde, y ocúltelo donde nadie lo encuentre. Es imperativo. Espero la respuesta oculta tras el más joven de los apóstoles. Vale. Oculta tras el más joven de los apóstoles. O sea que hay un cuadro que tiene algo detrás. Que puede ser este. Examinar el marco.
The painting looks like it's been taken down recently. But wasn't my mother said that she would wait for an answer hidden behind the apostle? Ah, of course. There's something written behind the painting.
Mm-hmm.
On the second day, the pilgrims will listen to the prophecy of the young apostle. They shall add 1 companion to their left and 3 to their right to complete their rank. What does it mean?
No tiene barba. Pensar en el código.
St. John is the only apostle painted in this gallery who hasn't got a beard. Hey, wait! That means it's him. He's the youngest apostle. Right. This painting is therefore associated with the answer which E had to give to my mother. Now, I just need to know how to recover the answer.
Pensar en el código. Pensar en cifras.
They should add a companion to their left and 3 to their right to complete their ranks. I imagine it applies to their code, the one Mother set up with the pilgrims. What's this? A group of pilgrims who Paul was talking to, and now John is telling them prophecies?
Observar el cuadro.
It's St. John, painted by Guido Rini.
Ya está. ¿Qué sé sobre este apóstol? San Juan. Pues hay que mirar. Hay que mirar la Epifanía de San Juan en el libro, creo. Juan. Evangelio según San Juan.
He that believeth on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already, because he hath not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God.
Vale. Vamos a ir uno por uno.
And he, bearing his cross, went forth into a place called the place of a skull, which is called in Hebrew Golgotha. I and my Father are one. Now there is at Jerusalem by the sheep market a pool, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Bethesda, having 5 porches.
Pues no sé. No sé, gente. Volver al principio.
I guess I'll just come back later.
Coja el paquete, ya sabe dónde, siempre digo. Es aquí, en la caja.
A chest with the occult symbol representing air.
Usar la llave izquierda, la llave derecha. Hay que... Creo que hay que buscar una llave que se cayó. Examinar el marco.
There's something else behind this painting. It says, half of each group will join the first city of Corinth. What the hell does that mean? A drawing of the Apostle Matthew, painted by Guido Reni. He's represented as writing the word of the Lord, transmitted by the Holy Spirit, who appears here in the guise of an angel. There's something else behind this painting. It says, half of each group will join the first city of Corinth. What the hell does that mean?
Pensar el grupo de peregrinos. Igual puedo. A ver, Evangelio de los Apóstoles, Evangelio según San Juan. No, a ver, volver. Hechos de los Apóstoles.
And he became very hungry, and would have eaten, but while they were made ready, he fell into a trance. Hey, there's a note here. A message from Mother in reply to E. We must leave urgently, but first I absolutely must go beyond the nightmare. Watch out for Volner. He figured out I was avoiding him. Allay suspicion. See you tomorrow evening. Stand ready. For now, let's cease all communication until we meet.
Cuidado.
Take care of yourself. I suppose this must be the last message. What happened afterward? If it's what I suspect, I fear the worst. What did Mother mean by, I absolutely must go beyond the nightmare? I must go beyond the nightmare. What does she mean by that?
Seguramente sea una alegoría.
I'm guessing it's a metaphor. I need to figure out what this means. Mortimer's getting his guests together. I ought to join them so I don't look suspicious.
Ha ido bien. Nota de la Biblia. Reúnete con los otros invitados. A ver, la nota de la Biblia en el inventario, supongo que estará. Mi madre siempre carga contra el más protegido. Vale.